So we'll begin in the first study that is brought, Al-Mabhath Al-Awwal, or the first study, or the first of the introductions, which enters into the name, Ismuhu wa kunyatuhu wa nasabuhu. His name, his title, and his ascription. Then, in the tarjuma, it is mentioned, Huwa al-Imam, al-Qudwa, al-Mujahid, Shaykh al-Hanabila, wa kabiruhum fi asrihi, Abu Muhammad al-Hassan bin Ali bin Khalaf al-Barbaharee. So he mentions, this is the introduction or the man himself, the Imam Al Barbaharee. He mentions that he is the Imam, the example that is followed, the Mujahid, the Sheikh of the Hanbali scholars, the greater of them in his era. He is Abu Muhammad, so that's his kunya, the father of Muhammad, Al-Hassan bin Ali bin Khalaf al-Barbaharee. Then he mentions وَبَرْبَهَارِ هي الأدوية التي تجلب من الهند. He mentions that the ascription is to Barbahar. And Barbahar are a type of medicine, or they are medicines imported and obtained from India, from Hind. Then he mentions that he was born in the year 253 after the Hijrah. Born in the year 253 after the Hijrah. Now, that shows that he was born about 10 or more or 12 years after the death of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And when Imam Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala died, then he was 3 years old, Imam Al Barbaharee. So he comes immediately after that generation. And he was born during the Khilafah of Mu'tazzi Billah, Muhammad, the son of the Caliph, Al-Mutawakkil ala Allah, Ja'far, the son of Mu'tasim Billahi Al-Abbasi. So this was the era in which he was born, and these were the rulers of that time. It was a time of the despotic rule under the authority of the Turkmens. They appointed whomsoever they wished as the Khalifa, and they dismissed as they wished. And the situation did not stabilize up until the Khilafah of Mu'tamad al-Allah, of the leader Al-Mu'tamad al-Allah. So Imam Al Barbaharee grew up in this unstable political environment, an environment also of flourishing knowledge, where Ahlul Sunnah were widespread in the land. Imam Al Barbaharee was a contemporary of a group of Imams, such as Imam Ibn Majah Al-Qazwini, Abu Dawud As-Sijistani. Both of them, of course, Ibn Majah and Abu Dawud, the compilers of the Sunnah. Anyone know the name of Abu Dawud, since we've studied the book of his son? No. Sulaiman ibn al-Ash'ath. Sulaiman ibn al-Ash'ath, and that is Abu Dawud. His son, of course, as you know, Ibn Abi Dawud As-Sijistani, Abu Bakr Abdullah bin Sulaiman al-Ash'ath, or Ibn Abi Dawud As-Sijistani. And that's the book, inshallah, that we study every Friday, the Ha'iyah of Ibn Abi Dawud As-Sijistani. So he mentions also Hanbal bin Ishaq, Imam Abu Bakr al-Marruzi. And some of these are, of course, companions of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, such as Hanbal bin Ishaq was a student of Imam Ahmad. Imam Abu Bakr al-Marruzi was a student of Imam Ahmad. Ishaq bin Ibrahim bin Hani, Abu Bakr al-Khallal, Ibn Qutayba al-Dainawari, and other than them from those who were from the foremost Imams of that era. Imam Al Barbaharee accompanied a group of the students and companions of the Imam of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah. He took knowledge from them, and they had a great effect upon his character and his personality. As for his shuyukh, وَطَلَبُهُ لِلْعِلْمِ, his sheikhs and his pursuit of knowledge, then Imam Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala, then he excelled in the pursuit of knowledge and in his desire to attain it. He attained knowledge from a group of the senior companions of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala, and then he mentions a list of them. From them, Ahmed bin Muhammad ibn al-Hajjaj Abu Bakr al-Marrudi. And Imam al-Marrudi, ya ikhwan, was from the great A'imma of his time. He was the Imam, the example to be followed, the faqih, the scholar of hadith. He settled in Baghdad and he was a companion of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and he died in the year 275 after the Hijrah. Also, from those he studied under was Sahl bin Abdullah bin Yunus at-Tustari, Abu Muhammad. He was the Imam, the ardent worshipper, and the one who was known for abstinence, for his zuhd. And he died in the year 283 after the Hijrah. Also from his scholars was Al-Fath bin Shukhruf. He was from the ardent worshippers, known also for his zuhd, for his abstinence from the dunya and not having concern for it. It is narrated from Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal that he said, no one came out of Khurasan of the likes of Al-Fath bin Shukhruf. And he died in the year 273 after the Hijrah. His status in knowledge, Imam Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala, was an awe-inspiring Imam, a person who was outspoken with regard to the truth, a caller to the Sunnah, and a follower of the narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was fully acquainted with the madhab. The madhab here referring to the madhab of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. That he was fully acquainted with the madhab, its fundamentals and its branches. He had standing and respect with the ruler. He was severe against the people of innovations and desires. He used to combat them with his hand and with his tongue, meaning that he used to write against them and he used to speak against them. His gatherings were abundant with the mention of the hadith, the athar and fiqh, and it was attended by many of the imams of hadith and fiqh of that era. So the scholars themselves and the imams used to sit in the circles of Imam Al Barbaharee. Abu Abdullah al-Faqih, rahimahullah, he said, if you see a person of Baghdad loving Abu al-Hasan bin Bashar and also Abu Muhammad Al Barbaharee rahimahullah, then know that he is a person of Sunnah. From that which shows his rank and his high station is that which his student Ibn Battah. And Ibn Battah, of course, ya ikhwan, was from the contemporaries also of Ibn Abi Dawud al-Sijistani, if you recall, and from those who narrated, and was from the students of Ibn Abi Dawud al-Sijistani. So Ibn Battah was also a student of Imam Al Barbaharee. He said that I heard, meaning Imam Al Barbaharee, say when the pilgrims of Hajj, that they were seized or they were detained. He said, O people, whoever is in need of assistance to the amount of 100,000 dinar, and then another 100,000 dinar, and then 5 times over, I will assist him. Ibn Battah said, if he had wished, he could have attained that from the people. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. He also had some serene poetry. And from his poetry, rahimahullah ta'ala, there is that which has been mentioned from him, that he said, whoever satisfies himself with what suffices him, he begins rich and continues in following the correct way. What a fine attribute Allah has made in being satisfied with that which suffices. How many a humble person it has, how many a humble person it has raised high, meaning this desire just to be satisfied with what he has been given. The soul of the youth feels constricted if he is poor, but if he patiently depends on his Lord, indeed he will be given vastness of ease and sufficiency. As for the zuhud and the piety and the abstinence of this great Imam, Imam Al Barbaharee was known for his zuhud, his abstinence from the dunya and his piety. This is indicated by what has been mentioned by Abu Hasan bin Bashar, the Imam Al Barbaharee, that he shunned 70,000 dirhams which he inherited from his own father. Ibn Abi Ya'la said, rahimahullah, that Al Barbaharee had great striving and stood firm for the religion many times. The students of Imam Al Barbaharee, then he has a great number of students. التلاميذ تلاميذ الإمام البربهاري رحمه الله تعالى, and a great number of people from the students acquired knowledge and benefit from Al Barbahari rahimahullah. And from them we have the first one that he mentions, the Imam, the exemplary example, the jurist, Abu Abdullah Ubaidullah or Ubaidillah bin Muhammad al-Ukbari, famously known as Ibn Battah. Secondly, the Imam, the great admonisher, Muhammad bin Ahmad bin Ismail al-Baghdadi Abu al-Hussein. Naam, Abu al-Hussein bin Sam'ud. Thirdly, he mentions Ahmad bin Kamil bin Khalaf bin Shajara Abu Bakr al-Qadi. Then he also mentions the Imam, the jurist, Al-Hussein bin Abdullah al-Baghdadi al-Hanbali, Abu Ali al-Najjad al-Saghir, died in the year 360. And finally he mentions Muhammad bin Ahmad bin Salih, the son of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who died in the year 330. So from his students was the son of the Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. As for his trial and his death, then he mentions that Ibn Abi Ya'la said, meaning in Tabaqatul Hanabila, which is a book from which the Aqidah of Imam Al Barbahari is taken. Sharh Sunnah is taken from Tabaqatul Hanabila, amongst other places. That Imam Al Barbahari had great striving and stood firmly for the religion many times. The Mukhalifun, the opposers of the Sunnah, that they enraged the heart of the Sultan against Barbahari. So in the year 321, during the Khilafah of Al-Qahir, he ordered his governor, Ibn al-Muqla, to arrest Al-Barbahari. So then Al-Barbahari, rahimahullah, he went into hiding. However, a number of his companions were captured and they were taken to Basra. Allah the Mighty and Majestic punished Ibn al-Muqla for this misdeed by causing Al-Qahir to become angry with him. So Ibn al-Muqla himself, the one who tried to arrest Al-Barbahari, fled, and Al-Qahir stripped him from his governorship and burnt down his house. Then Al-Qahir Billah himself was arrested, meaning the one who ordered Ibn Muqla. He himself was arrested on Thursday the 6th of Jumadul Akhirah in the year 322. He himself was imprisoned, stripped of his position, and both of his eyes were gouged out on this day, leaving him blind. Then Allah granted that Al-Barbahari returned to his honorable position and more, such that when Abu Abdullah bin Arafah, well known as Niftaway, died, his funeral was attended by many prominent and important people and scholars, yet the congregation was led by Al-Barbahari in the janazah. That was in the month of Safar, in the year 323 after the Hijrah. It was in this year that Al-Barbahari's standing grew and his speech carried greater weight, and his students became manifest and widespread, forbidding and censuring the innovators and the people of bid'ah. However, the innovators did not cease in trying to turn the heart of the Caliph Ar-Radi against Al-Barbahari rahimahullah ta'ala, to the point that Ar-Radi ordered Badr al-Kharshani or al-Kharshani, who was in charge of the police, to ride out in Baghdad with the proclamation that not even 2 of the students of Al-Barbahari were allowed to gather together. So he again went into hiding. And he had previously at that stage settled in the west of the city at Babul Muhawwal. So he left that secretly for the east of the city, and he died in hiding in the month of Rajab in the year 329 after the Hijrah. And he reached the age of 76 at that time. And it is also said that he reached the age of 77. And one can read the tarjama or the biography, and also the original text of Sharh Sunnah of Imam Al Barbahari. You can read it in Tabaqatul Hanabila, volume 2, page 18, and also Sir A'lamun Nubala in volume 15, page 90, and also in the work of Ibn al-Athir and other places. but these are the two most prominent places where what we have said has been taken. He died, of course, in hiding, and it is said that no one prayed over him except a single person. And it is said that even though no other human prayed over him, the lady in whose house he was hiding, when she opened the door to look at the janazah, she said that the room was filled with people wearing garments of white and green. So when the man who prayed over him left, and she said that, "Did you see what I saw?" He said, "Did you see it too?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Indeed, you have destroyed me. Bury him in that place in my house, and then when I die, bury me next to him." So this is the life of Imam Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala. But even though he died in hiding, because the innovator had turned the hearts throughout his life, that the people of bid'ah and misguidance had turned the hearts of the authorities against Imam Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala, he remained steadfast. And that is now, in the year that he died, 329, that over 1,000 years later, my brothers and sisters, that the legacy of Imam Al Barbaharee remains, even though the man died alone in hiding. Even though he died alone. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises whom he wills, and Allah Jalla wa ala debases whom he wills. That so much so that over 1,000 years later, that we recite the name and we remember the name of Imam Abu Muhammad Al Barbaharee rahimahullah ta'ala, and we remember